Hi everyone! Welcome back to this week's episode of Monday Mensaje or Monday Message, which is our weekly energy forecast. Thanks so much to all of you who are here for the first time. I hope that you enjoy it. And for all of you who've come back again to see what's up and join us for, talking about the energy for the week, thank you even more. So this is a crazy week astrologically, but I guess before I get into everything, I do just want to say quickly that after we do our messages from the universe to the signs, which, by the way, is going to be themed around eclipse season messages. So I'm extra excited for them this week. After we do that, I have a really, really exciting announcement about a new offering that I'm going to have that is going to be live next week. So I'll leave a timestamp below so that way after you receive your message for your sign, you can check out the new thing that I'm going to have launching next week. I'm so pumped, and I really hope that you're going to be excited about it too. Okay, with that being said, let's dive into what we got going on this week. So as far as the energy goes, I guess let's just start by saying expect the unexpected. If you didn't already know, we're in the beginning of eclipse season. The eclipse is solar eclipse this Saturday in Taurus, which is also the new moon. So pretty huge day. If you are unfamiliar with what eclipses mean and what eclipse season is and all that, there are so many great resources online that you can check out. Maybe if I have time, I will link a couple below. But just know, like I said, it's a time to expect the unexpected. It's a very fated time. So a lot of things that happen during eclipse season are sort of meant to be. I myself, as I know many others, take a break from manifesting during eclipse season because it's normally the season where a lot of the things that we've been working on actually see progress and get delivered, So you want to make space and time for the universe to deliver all the things that you've been working towards. And I have to say that this week's message goes perfectly well with that. So without further ado, the card that symbolizes the energy for this week is the Ace of Wands. I'm so excited about that. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have Justice. So mini shout out to all my Libras. A great pairing. I'm so excited. So let's get into it. And I'm just gonna go for it. Let's see what downloads come up first. So I want to start by saying that if you haven't been with us for the last, let's say month or so, we did get the Ace of Wands a few weeks ago. I have to go see when that was. But I remember in that week talking about new passions being reignited and really sort of taking a moment to reassess what sparks passion within us, what sparks passion in our life, and allowing that to guide you into this next chapter. Again, if you haven't been with us the last few weeks, we've been talking about how so many of us are entering a new chapter of life. So many of us are going through these really unprecedented changes. And so I was talking that week, and this still reigns true, about this Ace of Wands being a torch that's gonna guide us through this transitional phase into the next chapter. So the reason I bring that up is because when we were thinking about those things, what lights you up, what makes you feel passionate. This is with people, with your job, with how you spend your day-to-day life, everything, right? What's really important to you. Those things may come back around during this eclipse season. That's what I'm getting. So if you were with us, maybe some of those things that you were thinking about during that time are going to start to come back around. So if you remember, maybe you want to go back and start thinking what were the things that I decided made me really excited about life? And if you weren't with us, this is a good exercise for you to do, is to really spend some time thinking about what makes you excited about life. What are the things that spark joy and passion within you? Because like I've said before, those passions aren't alive within you for no reason. We don't fall in love with things as far as things you love to do and people and places we love to be. just by coincidence. Like, I personally don't even believe in coincidences. So it's like, when you follow the things that you're passionate about, that's going to lead you to where you need to be in life. And so that's essentially like this overarching message that I'm getting is sort of like, continue following what it is that makes you passionate. So first off, any ace in tarot is indicative of new beginnings. And this is right on par with what we've been talking about, because like I said, so many of us, like in different areas of our life, or maybe for some of us, multiple areas of our lives, are going through these big changes. And I want to remind you that in order for something new to sprout and grow in your life, other things need to fall apart. And so if you've been going through a really tough time lately, like last week's message was all about bumps in the roads and obstacles, but like not letting that deter us, right? And I have to say, that was really spot on for me. Like, I listened to it again at the end of the week. And a lot of times when I'm channeling, I don't remember anything. So I will sometimes later in the week listen to what I said. And wow, yeah, last week had a lot of ups and downs for me personally. So I know the collective listening may be able to resonate with that. But it's this thing of, where was I going with that? Oh, right. There's so many things popping in my head, so I'm trying to select one and go from there. The reason I bring that up is because, like I said, some things have to fall apart in order for new things to grow. And I know that we all know that, but are we remembering that during the really tough times and like the days that really suck, and when we're like crying and upset and like all that, right? Like, it's easy to sit here and say this now, but I need a reminder of that too sometimes when things are really hard. And I know that I'm going through a lot of changes and a lot of beginnings. Like, yeah, not all of these changes and beginnings are painless. And the things that are ending are, gonna bring up some old wounds, some things we need to heal, a lot of emotion, right? And it's okay to feel those feelings. And that's sort of where we were like last week. Like, last week's message was a lot about that, about a lot of the obstacles that come up when we are experiencing changes, but to not let those things deter you from entering this new chapter. And so this message is more so saying like, hey, look, you did it. Like, you made it through last week. If you're not alone. If last week was a little bit up and down and a little bit rough there, especially towards the end. But now we're, like I said, in the beginning of eclipse season. And, one of the huge, like, biggest downloads I'm receiving right now is like, all those things we made it through allowed us to grow. Allowed us to continue healing, so we would be better prepared for this new chapter that we're entering. I mentioned it last week, and I'll say it again in case you weren't there. We don't want to enter a new chapter if we don't have all of the tools that we need to thrive in it, right? So some of the things that have come up for you, like I said, may have allowed you to continue healing things that you thought you had kind of like put to rest already, like healing and processing is not linear. So there are going to be days where you feel way better about something and you're like, oh wow, I've like come to such a good place about this mentally. And then something could trigger you in a way, like even days later sometimes. And you're like, wow, okay, I don't feel as strong as I did the other day. And I just want you to know that that's normal. Like, it's not linear. Progress and healing and all of this is not linear. You're going to have your good days. You're going to have your bad days. But at the end of the day, you're growing through every experience that you have with it. Like, you're still healing it, even though you might have felt better about it a different day. So here we are at the beginning of eclipse season. And like I keep saying, I really like want to stress this. A lot of the things that are happening during eclipse season are meant to happen. That's why so many of us, that's part of the reason, not the whole reason, why so many of us do not even manifest during eclipse season, because it's like, this is when like some of the deliveries are coming in. Some of the things you've been working towards, asking for, focusing on, it's going to come to fruition. And some of the things that fall apart during eclipse season were meant to fall apart. The things that are sprouted or renewed or birthed during eclipse season are meant to be so during this time. So I really want you to prepare for the unexpected, and I don't want you to do it in a way where you're like scared. Like, it's so disappointing on social media to see so many people be like terrified of eclipse season, but really it's a really exciting time. It's also like a time of miracles and blessings and just like really solutions appearing to things that maybe weren't there before, right? So I want you to keep an open mind, an open heart to saying, you know what, I know this could be an unpredictable next few weeks, but I'm going to look for the good things that pop up randomly. I am going to be open to miracles. I know that I'm worthy of miracles happening in my life at any moment. You also want to be in a good headspace where you're thinking, I am worthy of receiving the things that I've been manifesting over however long. I am worthy of having the things that I've been working on work out. So you could see, like, especially with this Ace of Wands specifically, you could see something that you've been working on begin to just like rapidly grow, rapidly sprout, really start working out in a way that maybe you can't quite explain. Like, it could be something like you've been doing the same thing, but all of a sudden this like really takes off. So be open to that. Like, keep your mind in a good headspace. You know, of course, feel your feelings. You know, I love to do exercises that allow me to get my fears and my worries and my doubts out of my mind. You know, like I have a specific journal that's like just for those things, right? I kind of keep like my thoughts a little bit separate. I don't know if that's like, quote, normal or not, but I have a notebook that's just for me to like vent about all the stuff that like I'm worried about. And then that's kind of like in that journal. And then I don't have to have it rattling around in my brain. And then I have like a different journal for like all of the things I'm excited about, the things I'm grateful for. So maybe that's going to help someone out there to kind of separate those things. And I'm saying that to say that you want to be, so I'm saying like, don't not feel your feelings. If you're feeling any of those kinds of ways, know that they're just thoughts. I say this all the time, but like I really want to like drive this home, especially if you don't, listen every week. Your thoughts about like the things you're anxious about, your fears, your worries, your doubts, they're just thoughts. They're one possible reality that you're worried about, and just that. They're nothing more. So don't let those things deter you or stop you from experiencing all of the beauty and the magic and the miracles that life has to offer, especially during this season. So feel your feelings, but then also reframe and say, okay, those are the things I'm worried about. I get it. Like, I understand why I'm worried about that, but then let them go. Because this Ace of Wands is telling me that we're gearing up for, like I always say, the energy expands beyond the week, but I check in weekly, right? So I say the energy of the week, but this is beyond that. The energy that's coming in is saying there are going to be passions that are awakened in you that perhaps were not there before, So you might fall in love with a new activity or just find a new direction, whether that's career, like I always say, like relationships, career, like the big areas of your life. But there's part of me too that's also receiving this download that maybe something is going to be reignited, right? I am using the Rider-Waite deck, but like I've said before, sometimes the wands specifically are actually like represented as torches. And so what they just showed me is like a vision of someone like relighting this torch that has gone out. And so maybe there's going to be things that come up during eclipse season that are being reignited. And so I want you to keep an open mind, because when we allow fear and doubt and worry to lead in our lives, that often leads us down the wrong road. That leads us into a cage, essentially, a cage of our mind. And what the universe is saying is be open-minded, have an open mind, have an open heart. Don't lead with those feelings. Don't lead with those anxious thoughts. Instead, you are going to observe them without judgment. Like, don't beat yourself up for feeling that way. And then you let them go, because what's coming is meant for you. That's what I just heard. What's coming is meant for you. So don't ruin a good thing by being worried, scared, fearful, doubting everything. And then you're in a corner and it's like, man, what if you took that risk? What if you took that chance? And how much time are you going to wait sitting around in the future wondering, what if I did? Wouldn't you rather know? Even if, let's just say, the thing you're worried about happens, well, at least you know. At least you're not sitting around wondering. I personally don't want to be sitting around wondering. I rather know, like, okay, I tried that thing. I was interested in that. I'm going to go for it. And okay, yeah, it didn't work out. So now I'm going to pivot. I'm like endlessly pivoting in life. You know, I don't really see things that don't work out as failures. I see them as like redirection. So a lot of this is like not being hard on ourselves for feeling worried and anxious, but also not letting those emotions lead. You need to non-judgmentally allow yourself to feel that way and observe those thoughts and then leave them there. Instead, because, you know, to a certain level, once you know that you're like leading with fear, you have, you know, and you're conscious of it, you have the opportunity to reframe it and say, I'm going to lead with the excited possibility that I hope happens, or just knowing that the universe is going to bring me the best possible outcome. So again, when we know and we trust that the universe is going to bring us the best possible outcome, when something doesn't work out, we don't see that as a failure. We don't judge ourselves. We see that as a redirection. And that's like a really strong message that's coming through right now. Because I feel like a lot of us listening, myself included, in the past have been pretty hard on ourselves. So it's all about reframing, reshaping the way that you think about things and look at things. Because I'm telling you, I don't know if this is for everybody. This seems like maybe a certain group of you listening. There are going to be things that come back to you. Let's say you like gave up on a certain like career path, right? There could be an opportunity that comes to you and you're thinking, well, I'm not even going to try that because I did and it didn't work out. You can end up losing an amazing gift from the universe because you're thinking out of fear and doubt. So instead, when you know you're doing that, say, oh, you know what? I'm doing it again. I'm thinking from this fearful scarcity mindset. I'm now going to choose to think from a positive mindset that is going to allow me to see where this road leads. Because you really don't know until you go down it, right? Like we could come up with 1,000 possible scenarios, but you're never really going to know where it leads until you actually take that first step. So I guess the universe is saying, like, we don't want you to fumble some opportunities that are coming your way because you're thinking things are going to play out how they did in the past, or you are too worried. So you're almost like not letting yourself win, not letting yourself get that miracle. And maybe that's because deep down, you're still working on some self-worth stuff. That's what I'm hearing now. So it's like when we tend to lean into like self-sabotaging behavior, sometimes it's because we don't even think we're worthy of getting the thing we want, even if we want it so bad. So that's like something to ponder about this week, something to journal about. Do you really think you're worthy of receiving the things that you want? Because if you don't, you could potentially get in your own way. The obstacle may not even be anything else. It could be you. So this week and beyond, I'm going to just say eclipse season especially, make sure you're actually paying attention to your thoughts and where those thoughts indicate you are in your journey. Because you don't want to get in your own way. There are amazing things on the way. There's going to be new opportunities. There are going to be new passions being ignited and some being reignited, okay? So like that's that major Ace of Wands energy. And like I said, if it's happening during this time, listen, it was meant to happen. So start maybe taking a little bit of your like guard that's up, maybe take it down a little bit because you can rest assured that a lot of what's going to play out in the next few weeks, it's really just sort of, I see eclipse season as sort of like jumping into like hyperspeed, whereas like it was going to happen anyway. It's just like a little bit of an accelerated period. So go with it, go with the flow. Just surrender. I'm not saying it's easy to flow and surrender. This is like the main thing I've been working on in my life for like years now. But the more that you do just flow and surrender and say, you know what, okay, like this thing happened, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go with it. Let's see where this road's taking me. Like, we cannot possibly know what is at the end of the journey. We just have to go on it. So whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. So I'm gonna bring in now Justice, because that's who is at the bottom of our deck here. And this too, with the next message I'm receiving, is like, a lot of what's going to be delivered are going to be things that are kind of like, there could be righting some wrongs in this season, whether that's you righting a wrong or someone coming to you to right any wrongs that have been in the past, right? But also, like, it's, I'm hearing like the things that are delivered are like to balance out the way things have been. So if you've been going through like a particularly tough time and you're thinking like, wow, things have been tough, a lot of things haven't really been working out. This could be like a certain group of you again. I feel like this is like another group now. If you've been like going through it, let me tell you, the reason those things weren't working out, whatever area of your life this was, is because it wasn't divine right time. Some of these things had to happen with this eclipse energy. So now that it's here, you could go from, wow, everything's really hard, nothing's really working out, to, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by how much is moving, shifting, changing for the better in my life. So make sure you're resting up. And again, keeping an open mind and open heart, because you could have a few things falling in your lap, right? Things that what I'm hearing is things you've been deserving, right? But it just wasn't the right time. We don't really have answers for why. You don't really worry about that. It doesn't matter that it wasn't time before, but what matters is it's time now. And I'm really, 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 really drawn to the sword that Justice is holding in this card right now, which is really telling me there's going to be some truth. So this, again, I feel like this is for a certain group of you. Please, throughout everything I'm saying, don't forget to use your intuition. All of these messages are not for everybody, but you're going to be able to feel within you if it's for you. So don't make it fit if it doesn't fit. But I'm telling you, there's a group here where there's truth that's going to be had during this season that is going to be reigniting some sort of passion here. Whether it's you being honest with yourself or being honest with others, maybe it's the honesty with yourself that leads you to a place where you could be honest with someone else. Maybe someone's going to really have some sort of, I'm hearing for a different group, like truth that someone has with themselves that allows them to bring you this wand of passion to reignite it. That's what I saw just now, like someone delivering this wand to somebody else. So there are absolutely fated things that are going to be happening with some connections. Again, do not make this fit if this isn't your story. I would hate to ever get someone's hopes up for something that like didn't apply to them. So really take a deep breath, use your intuition to suss out, hey, like what in here feels like it's for me and what maybe feels like it's for someone in a different group, right? Because there's a lot of us listening and like not everything's going to be for everybody. So I just really want to make that, I want it to be like a responsible messages I'm channeling, and I would hate for someone to get their hopes up for something that's not for them. But there are absolutely, while I feel like a lot of this is with career, because I'm just feeling this, like what I saw was like coins like raining down from the sky, and it's just this thing of like so many people that have been waiting for their break, like it's gonna happen, like it is going to happen, and you're gonna be like, wow, it's really here, it's really real, and you're gonna see, right? It's like the universe telling you, hey, this was meant to be because this is the season it's happening in. And sometimes I think that's why it happens that way. It's like you may have to wait a little bit longer, but then it gets delivered at a time where you cannot deny that it's for you. And so with this season being so like fated, it's like, that's the message there. Like, hey, this is for you. And the same way I'm seeing that with career, I'm seeing that for some people, there's truth coming out. I have this, what I'm hearing is like a lot of people, and I know this has to do with this year of the divine unions and all that. So again, select message for a certain group of you listening, but it's almost like there's a lot of truth, I think, that's been stifled. I think people haven't been being honest with themselves, which is not allowing them to be honest with other people in these situations. And I think that we're, and this goes with last week, I had the 10 of Wands at the bottom, and I was talking about like what's burdening you. And I could sense that for a certain group listening, maybe what was burdening them is like unspoken words. And so this is leading me now to receive this message about like, there's absolutely a group here that is going to be getting some truth, delivering truth, and this is where this Ace of Wands goes from career passion to some of it being like romantic passion. That's like what I'm seeing. So again, like big faded stuff here with like career, with relationships, with just where your life path is headed right now. And it's just like the main message they're trying to deliver here is like the things that are meant for you are coming. So make sure that you're open-minded and you're open-hearted. And this is where they're bringing me this next message now about ego, because ego is like a huge thing that gets in the way of this, right? Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm thinking right now, I'm silent because I'm thinking about all the times in my past that ego has gotten in the way in my own personal life. I'm sitting here like about 25 ego deaths later. I'm just sort of reflecting on that for a second. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I think that there's a lot of messaging out in the world right now that isn't necessarily the healthiest, and I absolutely am a supporter of people protecting themselves from toxic behavior and making sure that you are not allowing yourself to settle for treatment that isn't what you deserve, right? I'm absolutely a supporter of that. But I also want to deliver this message they're giving me. I'm taking a pause because it's kind of a difficult one. Your ego is going to be the part of you that does not want to let people in, that does not want to forgive, that does not want to seem less than, right? And the ego is gonna some of the stuff that's coming up here, it's like, are you going to lose out on something because of your ego is what they're telling me. So whether that's like, oh, I got rejected from this opportunity, so maybe they're like, this is just one example, right, that they're showing me is like, maybe you had an opportunity and you interviewed for something and you didn't get the job, right? So you're thinking your ego is obviously not happy about that. Who knows? Maybe this same company could call you back and say, hey, we have a different offer for you. We'd love for you to come in. But your ego is like, no, if they didn't pick me before, why would I go back to them now, right? There's so much beyond that, right? So because it could be an amazing opportunity though. So that's like a clear example of how ego could really get in the way of something that could really be a huge blessing in your life. And so again, when we bring this into the relationship portion of this, I do not want anyone to settle for less than the treatment that they deserve, of course, right? And it is important to, be protective of yourself as far as dealing with toxic people and situations. However, my extreme attention to this sword is like, let people speak their truth, right? Like all you have to do is allow someone to come to you with their truth, and then you go from there and you use your intuition. But I would hate for someone to miss out on any sort of like opportunity in any realm of their life just because their ego was not allowing them to be open to forgiveness, to understanding that everyone is just trying the best that they can. Like everyone is dealing with so much stuff in their lives. Like, let's take a moment to realize that everyone has a lot going on. So I need you to really take a deep breath, and when those like old wounds come up, those old triggers come up, feel the feelings, observe them non-judgmentally, and then let them go. Because when you lead with love and you lead with compassion and you lead with kindness, so many more doors are opened to you. And yeah, it takes vulnerability. Yes, it takes risk, but I personally believe it's worth it. I'm of the belief that it's worth it to choose love over fear. It's worth it to choose courage in the face of fear, because fear is coming from that ego side. And so really use your discernment, not just during this period, but anytime. Use your intuition, and that's never going to steer you wrong. I also, what they're telling me now is with this comes with, like me talking about using your own intuition. Your own intuition, when you really learn to listen to it and you learn to separate your intuition's voice from anxiety, from fear, from ego, it's never going to steer you in the wrong direction. So make sure that's your compass versus like even what others have to say, because they're showing me now like conversations with people that maybe don't really get where you're coming from. So my point is, you would never want anyone else's ego, fear, bad experiences to stop you from taking an opportunity that you deep down within you and your intuition know is for you. So while it's amazing to have people help us through certain situations in life, make sure that you at the end of the day are following your own intuition, because that's your guiding light. That is your torch through this transition over what anybody else has to say. Because again, people are talking from their own wounds, and you just wouldn't want to, they're not living your life. You got to wake up every day and live out the choices that you've made. You have to live your life. Someone could think that they know what's best for you, but are they waking up every day and going to that job? Are they waking up every day next to that person? Are they going to that place after work to, let's say, donate their time somewhere or something like that? No, you're doing it. So make sure that you and your intuition is what's guiding you here, because you wouldn't want to be misled by anybody else's opinions. One of the reasons I am talking about this romantic portion is because underneath Justice, oh my goodness, we have so many cards from the Cup suit. So it's clear that, from the downloads I'm receiving, that this is definitely about career and definitely about connections. Let's say that. So yeah, I know that this is a lot. It's a lot to think over. It's a lot to mull over. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but that's really the gist of all the downloads I'm receiving right now. Is to recap, there are some exciting, beautiful things coming our way that are things that are going to make everything balanced, make everything right. Things we've been working towards that are meant to work out are going to be absolutely accelerating and growing during this period. And also, this is a time where is going to be truth that comes out, and things that are reignited within you, and passions that are awakened within you, perhaps for the first time. So it's a time to make sure that you are grounded, that you have a level head. That way you're really thinking and feeling your way through these things responsibly, right? But yeah, overall seems like a fantastic message about what could possibly be coming our way. Again, aces are new beginnings. So it's I love that, we're leading again. The last thing they want me to reiterate is let your passion lead. Whatever it is that you are passionate about in any area of your life, follow that. That is your guiding light. That is your soul telling you to go down that path, because that's the path for you. And I just really, really, really want to drive that home, because I think so often in our society, we don't give our passions enough credit, So make sure that that's where your passion is your torch. Think of this Ace of Wands as your torch that is leading you into this next chapter, and know that everything's coming, that is coming is going to be right for you, right? With this Justice here, we can really rest assured that, like we said, some wrongs are going to be, we're going to right some wrongs. We're going to experience some truth. Our lives are going to be balanced out. So if you've been in a really rough patch, I really foresee some fantastic things coming that are going to balance everything out. So that's about it for the main message. There were definitely multiple stories in there. So again, really make sure you're using your intuition to say, was that for me? Was that not for me? What parts of that message were for me? What did that make me think about? That could potentially help me in this next chapter. So yeah. Okay. Moving on to our messages from the universe. Like I said, so these are already shuffled, ready to go. These messages from the universe to the signs, again, this is sun, moon, rising. And these are specifically about like eclipse season, the eclipses, like what does the universe want you to know? So again, sun, moon, rising, use your discernment if you feel like all three resonate or just one. And yeah, let's get into it. I flipped our order, so we're actually gonna start with Pisces. Let's see what we got going on. And I want to remind you that I did put timestamps below. Someone had like a great suggestion for that, so I don't mind doing it at all. I know it must be difficult to kind of like skip through and find like where your signs are, so great suggestion. Okay, Pisces. Let's see. See yourself in nature. Okay, so listen, that's a lot of this deck is called the Messenger Oracle. I'll link it below. A lot of these messages are super straightforward, which I love about it. But yeah, Pisces, so get outside. Maybe you can make some time to get out in nature. And what I'm receiving now is there are some messages that may come through to you during that. Like when you're doing like earth grounding, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you want to look into that. That's for everybody. Sometimes I receive extremely profound messages when I'm doing like my earth grounding or just spending time in nature. So maybe the nature spirits have a message for you about where to move forward. Like if you've been feeling a little bit like you need more guidance, they're telling me that you're going to get that when you go out in nature. So that is super important for you. And also to clear your head, and maybe you want to leave some worries and stresses there. Don't take them back with you, like let yourself purge. Maybe you want to have like a good cry and then really come back to center. Okay, Aquarius, see the truth. Listen, this goes with what I was talking about when I was like so drawn to Justice's sword there. Truths are coming out, let me tell you. So Aquarius, the first thing that I'm getting here, so first of all, Aquarius, if owls mean something to you, there's like an enormous owl on this card. So there's that. I felt called to say that. And two, this is the download I'm receiving is that you've maybe been avoiding some truths. That the universe is saying see the truth because maybe you've been getting some signs and you've been choosing to be a little bit blind to what those things may mean. Maybe you really don't want to see the things that they're trying to show you, but the signs will only become louder and clearer, let me tell you, if you ignore them. So this is a call to take a moment, check in with yourself. What are some things in your life that maybe you haven't been seeing clearly as a whole, right? This could be your opportunity to discover that. And then for a group of you, I'm feeling like it's like, hey, look at what we're trying to tell you. We've been trying to send you signs about something and you're ignoring them because you don't want to face it. It's time to face it. And like I said, we're entering a very like fated time, so you may not really have a choice as to whether or not you're going to face it. So this is like that heads up to prepare yourself. If you can, like don't ignore the signs. I see signs as like gifts from the universe to like let us be ready for things that are going to happen, right? So maybe that's the reframing that you need to do right now. Capricorn, focus and then act. Okay, Capricorn, maybe you've been a little scattered mentally. Maybe you have a lot of things on your plate. What you need to do is get those things in order. Categorize and prioritize is what I'm hearing. What are the things that need to be taken care of now? Like what cannot wait? Put those things at the top of your list and then formulate, okay, in order to get this thing done, I need to do A, B, C, D, E, whatever. And then my next thing that is like second underneath that in importance, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to do it through this step and this step and this step. So bring yourself back to center, okay? Do some grounding as well. Say, what do I need to focus on in my life? What are my priorities? I'm sensing that it's like things you need to do, things you need to get done, right? So prioritize them, and then come up with a very, like, I love to break up big projects into very small steps. That's what I do. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to, like, what do I have to do first? And then I break that step into, like, okay, to do that, I have to do this, this, this. So break things down as small as you need them to be. That way things don't seem so overwhelming. So maybe you've been feeling overwhelmed, right? So I like to personally, like, write things down so I could visually see, like, okay, I have to do this thing, this thing, this thing, and this is how I'm going to get it done. And good luck with getting all those things done. I mean, hello, you're well equipped. You're a Capricorn. Come on. Okay, me being very, very stereotypical there. My bad. All right, Sagittarius. Challenge your perception. Challenge your perception. Let me take a second here to receive what's coming through. This is giving me similar energy to Aquarius. Maybe you've been seeing a situation. This is like what I'm receiving is that maybe some of you have like a certain situation going on in your life. This could be more than one situation going on in your life with everything everyone has going on. How have you been perceiving it? How have you been looking at it? And then this is, again, quite literally your challenge to see something through someone else's eyes is what I'm hearing. So see the other person's point of view. And then also look at a different way that this entire thing could play out. You obviously have your preference as to how you hope things go in whatever situation this is. But open your mind to what are other possibilities for this scenario? How are other people in this scenario feeling, right? That's going to require some major empathy. And then this too, what I'm receiving now is your perception on this may be challenged by what starts coming up during this season. So maybe there's something that's going to like happen that's going to shake up how you've been perceiving this entire thing. And you're going to have to like go with the flow. So you're going to have to open your mind to see things through a different lens, to see things a little bit differently. And there's major room for growth there. So while it could shake things up, I really do see that as like a blessing. Okay, Scorpio, let your emotions flow. So again, I know on social media, everyone's been talking about how like eclipse season is going to be so tough for Taurus and Scorpio. And I feel bad for you all because I know that must be very overwhelming to hear. However, this is an indicator, one, that maybe you've been bottling things up. So this is the time to like actually face how you're feeling about certain things in your life. Even though that's really hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Make sure you have your good coping skills you go to when you're going through hard stuff on hand. That way you can pull yourself out of some of these tough mental states. Don't bottle up how you're feeling. And again, like I was talking about earlier, do not judge yourself for feeling how you're feeling. Let's say you're feeling something and you're like, oh my God, I seriously wish I did not feel that way. Well, it's fine because you do. It's not stupid or silly or dumb to feel how you're feeling. You're feeling it. And if someone else is trying to make you feel like it's stupid or ridiculous to feel that way, well, too bad because they are not you. You know how you feel more than anybody else is going to know how you feel. That was like the first message I'm receiving. So maybe someone's trying to tell you that you're being over dramatic or too emotional, whatever. You know what? Screw that. Like they're not in your heart, in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. You know how you're feeling. So you have full permission to validate your own feelings. Nobody else needs to validate anything else for you. And don't bottle things up because I always say, it's important to feel our feelings as waves because if we don't and we push them down, they will come back as a tsunami. So you know what? Maybe your tsunami is happening. Let it flow through you, okay? Let yourself feel how you want to feel. Give yourself permission to not rush yourself through those feelings. Get it out in whatever best way it is that you do. And then you're going to be in the best place to move on from it. But you cannot move on from the situation or how you're feeling until you actually feel the feelings. That is like the key. You can't just climb over, like you can't climb over this. You got to go through it. So I wish you peace and healing during this time, Scorpios. Okay, Libra. Become a shapeshifter. Become a shapeshifter. Okay, Libra, I'm sensing a lot of changes around you. I'm sensing your need to be flexible right now. It seems like there are things that are going to come up that are going to require you to adapt to changes pretty fast. And again, with eclipse season being here, it's not like the most shocking thing, but it's not the easiest thing to do. So Libras listening, make sure you're in a good headspace where you're able to kind of roll with the punches is what I just heard. So roll with the punches, go with the flow, try not to focus too much on outcomes. It's like I see someone sitting there thinking too much about what step 50 is when they haven't even gone on to step 1 yet. So go with the flow. Take the first step. Like I said earlier, the only way you're going to know where the journey leads is if you take the first step. You cannot possibly predict that before you've even moved. So go with the flow. Allow yourself to adapt to changes that come up. Allow yourself to flow around obstacles. And hold on, there seems like there's one more thing that's coming through. Just give me a second. Shapeshifter. That word is just honestly just plummeted me into a whole thing here. The download I'm getting is about change. So you are going to be shape-shifting. Some Libras listening, you got to see if this applies. Things, again, eclipse season, very faded. I keep saying it just so you could prepare yourself, not to be annoying. Big changes ahead. Big changes ahead. So the first thing they're saying is do not feel like you have to be the person you've been. You are allowed to change and become a new version of yourself whenever the hell you feel like it. So if that's making people around you uncomfortable, too bad, because you are you. Why would you stay an old version of you when a new version of you is waiting to bloom and blossom and emerge and be birthed right now? This is the time. So if you're being called to become a new version of you, especially during this season, it's meant to happen. So the people around you are going to have to deal with it because, again, you are the one living your life. You have to wake up every day and live the life that you live. Nobody else. You have to live with the consequences of your actions or your inaction. So don't let anybody sway what you know in your heart, in your mind, in your soul is right for you. And don't let anybody deter you from being this new version of you that I've been talking. I feel like for the last few weeks, Libras that I've been talking to, it's like I've been talking about change with you so much. So it's like maybe you've been a little bit resistant to this change. Well, let me tell you, eclipse season is going to throw you to the deep end if you're really trying to resist it. Not to be scaring anyone. I'm just again, trying to prepare you. So allow yourself to change. Allow yourself to grow. You're allowed to be a different version of yourself any second you feel like it. You're allowed to feel different tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And a week from now, you're allowed to feel like an entirely different person than you felt yesterday. So give yourself permission to keep growing and changing because our evolution is continuous. There's never going to be a final you. It's always going to be changing and new and beautiful. And I think that's an amazing experience. So allow yourself to shift into this next phase. Allow yourself to really let go and stop thinking about what everybody else is going to think about you because you need to be happy with who you are. A lot of the messages I'm getting here are opinions of others. So it's don't let anybody stop you. You are meant to bloom right now. So allow yourself to do so. And I really wish you the best on that because that's beautiful. And there's probably so many miracles and magical things just waiting for you, but waiting for you to be and commit to being this new you. So good luck, Libras. Virgo. Time to reflect. First message I'm getting is similar to Aquarius. What have you not been facing? I say that especially because there are two faces on this card looking at each other. So it literally made me think what are you avoiding? What are you trying to not see? What are you trying to not think about, okay, it's time to reflect. It's time to face some of those truths that maybe you've been running from, hiding from a little bit. This reflecting is also making me think about your emotions. Are you checking in with how you're feeling about things? I love being in the present moment, but I also want you to think about how you're feeling in the present moment. Maybe you're so caught up with everything that's going on, you're kind of just going through the motions, but you're not really sure how you feel about anything that's happening. So this is a sign to pause and say, okay, how am I doing mentally, emotionally, physically? Do a check-in with yourself. Time to reflect. Also, the next download I'm getting is reflecting on this past season. So maybe you do some reflecting on where have you been the last few months? What's happened? What are you still digesting? What are you still trying to heal? Definitely major connecting with yourself energy. So maybe you've been a little bit distracted with outside factors and people and places and doing things, but it's time for you to return to the self. Return home and see what's going on with you. Maybe you've been helping some other people. It's time to help yourself a little bit, because that clarity that you're going to gain from this is what I'm receiving. The clarity that's going to come from this check-in or series of check-ins you need to do is going to better prepare you for this next step, this next chapter you're stepping into. You can't enter the new thing if you haven't kind of taken stock of what's happened, who you are now, what's going on, And that's really exciting. So don't be afraid to face it. Just give yourself permission to feel however you're going to feel. Okay? Leo, change is unavoidable. So I was saying, I think it was to Libra. Maybe the first thing I'm getting is maybe you've been a little bit resistant. Leo's listening again. Take this if it resonates. You know within you if it's for you or not. Change is unavoidable. And I've said a million times now, you're probably sick of hearing it. This season that's coming up, the next few weeks, is gonna shake up a lot, potentially, in an amazing way. So don't assume that change is bad. Like I've said before, we have this idea, especially in Western society, that all change is just terrible and bad and we rather cling to the same. But really change is the only way that things could ever get better. Because how could things get better in your life if they stay exactly as they are now? Unless you're already living your perfect life, change is necessary to live a life that you're more satisfied with. So I want you to really mull that over for a second. I also want to bring your attention to the fact that this could mean, so first of all, there's this imagery on this card. It's really saying a lot. There is a snake shedding its skin. So this could be a transformative period for you. This eclipse season could be extremely transformative, but it's are you going to dive in and say, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to flow, I'm going to go on this journey and see where it takes me? Or are you going to resist the entire thing and then maybe miss out on some really amazing opportunities? So when we were talking about ego a little while ago, really make sure to check in with yourself and say, am I making these decisions based off of fear, ego, worry, doubt? Or am I making these decisions based off of intuitively what I feel is best for me? And this is also too, the next thing I'm receiving is adapting to changes around you. So remember how strong you are. Remember how resilient you are. Remember that you've made it through every difficult thing that you've made it through because you're sitting here right now. And there are lots of lessons to be learned from these changes. And like I said, things can't get better if they stay the same. So I send you lots of peace and healing as well. And just know that again, I'm hearing winds of change. These winds of change, there's going to be blessings in there. I really feel that. So good luck on this season for you. Cancer, calm in the storm. Calm in the storm. First thing I'm getting from this is what brings you calm in the midst of chaos? What coping skills do you have? What systems do you have in place for when stuff gets a little bit rocky? Do you have anything in place, right? What makes you feel better? When you're really upset, what do you do? What are the things that you do to kind of bring you through those difficult times? Remember to maybe like work on figuring out what those things are. I'm not saying that this necessarily means that there's a big storm coming in for you. I'm more just saying like make sure you know what you have in place for when you need it. And then the second thing, if anything, the other message I'm receiving is really the opposite. That maybe you're going to see all this like hype about like, oh, these things are, the season's going to be crazy. And maybe you're going to find that you're actually kind of the one that's helping other people through their massive changes. So maybe you are going to be like a guiding light. They're showing me a lighthouse. So maybe you're like a guiding light for somebody else right now. So maybe during eclipse season, you want to check in on a couple people that maybe are going through a tough time right now. Maybe you can lend a helping hand or a listening ear to someone who really needs it. Maybe you can share, what I'm hearing now, is some of your coping skills and strategies with someone who maybe doesn't have those things in place. So be on alert to see how you can give back to people around you. Maybe I'm now hearing too, maybe there's messages you have within you that you could share that are going to help other people during this time right now. So I think that's really beautiful. I also love the ironic imagery of this character rising out of the ocean with a seashell necklace and a crown with like a turtle. It's such like water energy. It's like, of course, that was for Cancer. Yeah, so yes, I see you being a guiding light for other people, but also for a small group of you, reminding yourself like, hey, what do I do when I'm in the middle of a storm, right? So thank you, Cancers, for helping those around you. Gemini, you were born to create. You were born to create. Wow. Like I was saying earlier, like I keep saying, what's meant to be right now is meant to be. So what is trying to be birthed through you? What passions do you have that are going to lead you to create something amazing? Because if it's being created right now, let me tell you, it's meant to happen. So find the confidence within you to express yourself in the way that you feel is really going to lead you closer to your authentic self and closer to your truth. What is it within you that you really, really want to go after? What is it that brings you joy? When we're being creative and like really working from that space of passion and creativity, it's like we're more in touch with our authentic selves. And that's like really what the universe wants for you. So maybe this is what I'm receiving now is a sign that like, hey, if you're thinking of starting something, maybe let's get that going. I know mid-May is going to be around the time where it's like not maybe the best time to start new things. So if there's been something you've been waiting to like act on, this could be a sign that's like, hey, do it now because the universe is got your back as always. So you were born to create. This is also too, the next message I'm receiving is about confidence. Maybe there's something in the works for you, or you just need to remind yourself like, yeah, I am this amazing person. I'm capable of following my dreams. I'm capable of achieving what I set out to do. I am confident and capable, and my unique lens is needed in this world. That's what I heard. So that's really exciting. What is it that you're working on? I want to know. What is trying to be birthed through you? That's really the thing that I keep saying over and over, so I thought I'd repeat it. Okay. Taurus, follow the moon. Oh my gosh. The irony of this with our, with just everything really. So we have our new moon in Taurus on Saturday, which is the partial solar eclipse. Yeah. As you've heard, Taurus, this is going to be very significant for you. So again, that's happening on Saturday, but the energy, we're already in it. So I think this is really just a sign from the universe that's like, hey, even if stuff gets wild right now, know that it is meant for you, and either something is going to be breaking apart to build something more magical, more incredible, or some of the deliveries of things that you've been hoping for, working towards, manifesting are on their way. It's like the universe being like, hey, don't forget what's happening right now is supposed to happen. So have faith, trust in the universe, okay? Because they got your back. And while, again, I feel so bad for all Tauruses and Scorpios, everyone's like, this eclipse season is going to like change your entire life. Like it could be for the better though. It could be in an amazing way. So open yourself up to that. Open yourself up to the abundance and the miracles and the incredible opportunities that could be coming your way right now. And when stuff gets really hard, if it does, just remember, what can I learn from this experience? What is this experience trying to teach me? How can I grow? This is obviously after you take your moment to feel how you're feeling. You know, don't rush your feelings. Don't push down your feelings. Feel how you're going to feel. But then you emerge from that saying, what can I learn? What is this trying to teach me? Maybe what could be birthed in place of what's falling apart right now? So I love that. And last but not least, Aries. Nurture all you love. Nurture all you love. Okay, so again, for a small group of the Aries listening, I believe this is tied to that truth I was talking about earlier, with truth being expressed to yourself that allows you to express it to somebody else. Maybe you're an Aries listening that you're like, I really want to tell this person the truth. Or maybe I need to face my own truth, right? Like, so I'm feeling some, not only for Aries, but definitely heightened, that maybe this is your time to move ahead on something that has been sort of like blocked for you. So be open-minded, have an open heart, and don't be afraid to express to the people in your life how grateful you are for them, how much you love them and appreciate them. This energy of this card is all about spreading kindness, spreading love, spreading those beautiful feelings within you. It is like truly, hold on, let me see what I'm receiving here. This season could be bringing you more to be grateful for, is what I'm hearing. More for you to nurture. So some of these like beautiful things that could work out could open you up to having more to give thanks for, having more to be joyous about, which allows you to open your heart and spread love and kindness with everybody around you. So this is a sign that perhaps there's like some really great things on the way for you during this eclipse season. And when those things arrive, or if they have, be grateful for it and then spread that love and kindness that you feel within you outwardly in your community, family, friends, right? Like all that joy you feel, spread that with other people and see what you could do for others that would spark a little bit of joy and happiness in their life. What could you do for someone that would express your gratitude? That's really beautiful. So I love that. I love the idea of spreading kindness and joy and gratitude. That's like, it's so awesome. Okay. So I hope everyone enjoyed their messages from the universe about like a little peek into what eclipse season could be like for you. And before we go, if you're interested, I do just want to talk for like 30 seconds about the new offering I'm going to have. So next week, I believe on Monday, we'll be live. I am actually starting a like membership page where I'm going to actually be able to offer so much more than what I offer here. I will never stop doing this. Monday Mensaje is going to continue, but I am creating something called Starful. And Starful is going to be a place where you can find a monthly collective message, monthly messages from the universe for each sign. I'm going to have like love readings by Venus sign, full moon messages, new moon messages, and really that's just the beginning. Like there's going to be so much more there. I'm also planning to, by summer, have like a resources page where I'm able to add like books I love, articles, meditations, like just a compilation of like really helpful things for your spiritual journey. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I hope that you are too. And yeah, it makes me feel really good to be able to put something like that out there. It is going to be only $4 a month, so it's essentially like a coffee. And I really, really want to keep it accessible and be able to put more messages out there, channel more messages. It's going to be some messages that are channeled, tarot, oracle, whatever it is I'm being called to at the moment. And yeah, so on my website, By next week, I will have like more information specifically about what will be there. So it's not up and running yet for you to sign up for, but it will be next week. I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. So I'm really excited about Starful, and I hope that you are too, and I hope you'll join our community there. So yeah, thanks for listening. I will have more info about that posted on my Instagram and, like I said, on my website soon. I'm wishing you all a really, really beautiful week. I really wish you all peace and healing. Know that you're not alone in this journey. We are all going through changes right now. So hang in there. Know that like we're all going through it together, truly. Like I know that it can be lonely in this spiritual journey, especially if you don't have other people in your life to kind of talk to you about this stuff. But we're here and we get it and we know, and trust me, I know, I get it. So, I just want you to know that you are not alone in this universe. You are not alone in this journey. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful week and start to eclipse season, and we'll see what awaits us next week. Bye everyone.